so here we go. This blue wire here is channel 3 from my alarm output, and I apologize for the background noise. We are getting a flash flood of rain once again. So here's the negative output from the radar sensor. So when the radar sensor or proximity sensor picks up a signal, it's going to throw ground on this little blue wire here. So this is going to be output 1 to my power window module. And over here, blue is going to be channel 3 from my alarm's output. So I'm going to put a diode with the band side facing the trigger source. This was channel 3 from my alarm output, banded side, cathode side going towards the alarm. Same thing on the radar sensor. Banded side going towards the output of the radar sensor. Then the two inputs are going to join like so. So see, we got the wire, the chicken bone, double diode isolation. This here is the input from the power window control module. So when this wire sees a ground pulse, it's going to roll the windows up. So I'm just going to twist that on there, and I'm going to step back so that way you guys can get a look at what it is that I've done. Input from the radar sensor going into one side of the double diode isolation. The other one is channel 3, negative output from the alarm system. The banded side going to it. Both of them joining together and going into the input side wire of the power window control module. So you can see it before I tape it all up and get it cleaned up. So in order to do these one-wire door lock system, this one here is a negative one-wire door lock system. It needs to see a 470 ohm resistor on the lock, a 470 ohm negative lock pulse to lock the doors, and a straight ground on the unlock to do the unlock pulse. So I can't really show you the actual wiring we're connecting to because it's in the body control module way up underneath the dash. It's painful to even think about getting up into. However, I did already grab my wire. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my resistor in like this, up at the front. I'm going to twist these two together because there's a relay, which I'm using, which already isolates my negative outputs and beefs them up with two relays that are built into this dual relay module here. And this is going to connect onto that one wire in the vehicle, and that's how my door locks are going to get done in this car. I want to test and see if this vehicle is equipped with a factory alarm system, because my alarm system has a negative factory disarm wire, but I don't know if I actually even use it, if I need to use it. So the way I'm going to suggest you or anybody tests it is take your door, turn it to the lock position manually, and also take your factory alarm and hit lock 2-3 times. I'm already guessing that this vehicle is not equipped with a factory security system due to the fact that it never blew the horn when I hit lock on the second time. On most factory alarm systems, if it's equipped with a factory alarm and not just a fancy keyless entry, which this probably is, it'll give you a horn on the second pulse on the lock wire. So the way that you can test if your vehicle actually is equipped with a factory security system is a hit lock, do it manually with the key, leave the car alone for 60 seconds. I've already let about 15 go by. So a few more seconds. After this 1 minute elapses, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach my hand in through the vehicle, so when you do this test, make sure your window is fully open so that way you can get into the car. Open the door manually with your hand. Then just lift your door handle with your hand, and if your alarm system goes off and goes ballistic, you have a factory security system. If it doesn't, you don't have one. It's just that simple. And that's how you can test it with any vehicle. It doesn't matter what it is, van, car, truck, you have it. This works on all of them. So my 1 minute is elapsed. I'm going to unlock the door from the inside handle, lift the handle. No alarm. Okay, the next thing I want to do here is I'm going to connect my rear trip. So this wire here is going to throw a ground signal when the rear trunk lid is opened, which is going to set my alarm system off. And then it occurred to me that this alarm, like any alarm, only has one wire input for hood and trunk. So here's the thing. My mercury switch, if it opens up and closes, it really has no impact on anything on itself. However, but if the trunk was open and I tied that into my trunk wire, when the hood was open, it would technically turn my trunk light on. So there you see I have a problem. So if you have one input and you have, I'm sorry, two inputs and you have, you know, two outputs going into it, like I do, one for my trunk light and one for my mercury switch, here's how you easily resolve that problem. One, I have this wire here, which I've just extended from my mercury switch under the hood. And this one here is the wire that I ran from my trunk lid. This here is the wire that's going into the alarm system to sense the hood and trunk. How you beat this problem is very simple. Both are negative outputs. So what I'll do is I'll take these two diodes and I'll put the banded side, banded side towards the trunk and hood. So that way ground will pass in the only direction going towards the alarm system and they won't backfeed into one another. So that's one. And here's the other. If you're not familiar with this technique, I've done other videos on this topic. It's a must-know thing for any installer. It's called a double diode isolation. Very common practice. I mean, you can see I'm even doing it, and this is a pretty mainstream, everyday kind of install. A lot of times you need to isolate more than one source. I've done this on other videos for camera switches and reverse lights. I mean, trailers. I mean, it's just endless amounts of possibilities you can use this for. And that's pretty much what it looks like. Two inputs, banded side because of ground inputs. Ground can go on the cathode side, goes input to the input side of my alarm system. That's it. Insulate all this stuff, and that's it. Done deal. You can stop. Okay, so what I got to do now is we're going to have fun with diodes. I'm going to name this the fun with diodes section of this alarm installation. Since we already did the double diode installation on the rear end trunk trigger because of the mercury switch, trunk light, blah blah blah, that was one diode problem solved. Now I want to do the power window module. I want to tie that into my radar sensor, as well as I want to tie into channel 3. So here's what my plan is. On my remote, if you depress channel 3, I want that to roll my windows up independently of anything else. If I want to roll the windows up, they go up. That's all there is to it. But this customer likes to leave her windows cracked, and she does not like to walk away, have the alarm passively arm, and have the windows roll up because the AC doesn't work so great in this car. So what we're going to do is want to make this a happy woman. So how we're going to do that is we're going to give her the option to roll them up with the button. So if she's in the house and she wants to roll up the windows, just hit a button, they go up, and that's the end of it. You don't have to get out of the house. It's just going to work. Now, if someone walks around this vehicle and the proximity sensor picks it up and it goes beep beep beep, it's going to automatically lock the doors, which is a proprietary function of an Omega or an Excalibur alarm system. It's going to also alert an icon on this two-way LCD remote control, so she's going to see on there that the proximity is triggered, the doors are locked, and the windows are automatically going to roll up. So that way it's going to keep whoever this idiot is who's walking around the car and shouldn't be out of the car. So that's the system. So how I need to do that is I need to do some simple wiring, again with our friends the diodes. So we have here, this is the activation input wire for our power window module. This one here is a negative transistorized channel 3 output from the alarm system, which is going to work off of channel 3. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take these two together, twist them up together, and what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to do the double diode isolation. I don't really know if it's required or necessary to do double diode and isolate these two circuits from one another, but however, it's just me. I'm crazy when it comes to wiring. I like to do things properly. I don't want to have an afterthought. Did I do it right? Could it have been done better? Is it bugging out, and why is that? I don't ever want to come back to this car. I want to know for sure that the job is done correctly, and my common sense and my intuition is telling me to do it with double diode. So if you ever have a thought and say, well, I know it'll work without it, but if it'll maybe work better with it, you might want to consider taking that extra 5 minutes and doing it the way I'm going to do it right now.